What's the significance of St. John's Eve?
St. John's Eve? It is the greatest night of the voodoo year. There is always a traditional conclave on St. John's Eve. Most of our voodoo churches these days hold functions in the church hall. But in the old days, they had ceremonies out in the wild, and they wore animal masks and had a huge bonfire and dancing. I used to go when I was an apprentice. Sometimes in the swamp, you know, Bayou St. John. Sometimes at the Lake Pontchartrain.
What's the significance?
Special ceremonies are performed, and the Loa come to ride the faithful.
Loa?
What's the...
There is no night more powerful to voodoo magic.
She didn't define the term Loa.
What's the significance?
There is...
Ugh. I'm hoping we'll find out what that means later.
Do you have any idea what Gabriel Saint Coeur means?
No. No, I don't.
It's like, this is New Orleans, but nobody seems to know broken French.
Do you have...
No.
And she seems to be a little bit hesitant. We'll let that go.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Oh, yes. She was the first of the great voodoo queens.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
She ruled voodoo in New Orleans for 100 years, they say.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
I'm sure a historian could help you with that, if you want to know more.
And we got a ton of stuff from Dr. John.
Tell me about the animal masks.
I saw them used once or twice when I was younger, but you don't see them much anymore. They are too close.
Too close to what?
Just bad karma.
Tell me about the...
I don't know what else to say about that.
Tell me about yourself.
Yes? What would you like to hear?
How'd you get into this business?
I trained in the voodoo arts for many years with the great Queen Tabitha.
Really? Who's she?
You have never heard of her? For shame! I can see you know little of the world of magic.
I'm beginning to get that impression, yes. What kind of people come to see you?
Seekers after the truth, such as yourself.
Do you do anything else?
I am a voodoo yen, and that is plenty. It takes much spiritual effort.
How many voodoo yens are there?
No one knows exactly. Many practice in secret. There are probably hundreds. But of course the level and the power of the voodoo yens differ greatly, depending on their training and natural gifts.
Tell me anything at all.
I haven't always lived in New Orleans. I came here from Kansas as a young woman.
Tell me anything at all.
I began studying voodoo more than 20 years ago. I am well versed in the magical art.
Tell me anything.
Many non-believers come to me. They are usually believers when they leave.
Tell me anything.
Dr. John sends me many seekers such as yourself.
Tell me.
I am happy here with my clientele and my snake.
Tell me anything.
I have enough.
I can't think.
Very well.
We got two options left. Grimwald and Grigri. Let's ask about the Grigri first.
Give me an example of a gris-gris.
All right. Here's an old one. Take a lodestone and some brimstone to a crossroads at midnight. Light the brimstone with a match, and a spirit will come and give you advice in gambling.
Give me an example of a gris-gris.
Here's an old hoodoo Dr. Grigri. Place a dime under your client's tongue, and if the client is under a spell of any kind, the dime will turn black.
Give me...
To send someone away, take a rotten egg and write that person's name on it 9 times. You can also write on it where you want to send that person to. Take it and throw it against his door at midnight.
Give me an example of a gris.
Here's a nasty one. To kill someone, get a sock or a shoe that belongs to that person. Put graveyard dirt in it and bury it under their front steps.
Does that work?
I don't know. I never tried it.
Give me an...
To ensure the safety of your child, cut a lock of its hair while it is still a baby and keep it with you. The child must have all its hair before it can die.
These are interesting.
They're very old. The gree-gree that I prepare is much more powerful, I can assure you, but I don't give out those secrets.
Give me...
All right.
And a disclaimer that I'll post on the video at some point. Don't try these if you're going to hurt someone. I'm not encouraging you to try any of this stuff. This is stuff that you just heard from a video game. There, we're done. Okay, what about Grimwald, the snake?
About Grimwald.
What about her?
Where'd you get Grimwald?
She belonged to a traveling reptile show. She was being terribly mistreated, so I offered to buy her. She's named after a spirit guide I had once. The spirit Grimwald was a very powerful female snake priestess in Egyptian times.
Grimwald doesn't sound Egyptian.
I only know what the spirits tell me. Monsieur, I am sure they know better than we.
How'd you learn to handle Grimwald?
I told you a great voodoo queen taught me. She learned from Meryl I herself.
Ah, fascinating. Would you consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
No, I couldn't do that. You might do some gree-gree of your own, no? One must be very careful with such things. Hair clippings, nail parings, and snake scale.
Oh, man.
Are you sure you wouldn't consider giving me one of Grimwald's scales?
I told you I couldn't do that.
Darn it, it's like Sierra just wants me to commit more felonies. They just can't give me evidence, can they? Well, it would have been nice to clear her once and for all.
Tell me anything at all.
You have to be careful when handling a snake. They're more delicate than they look.
I'll bet. Tell me anything at all.
Many people are afraid of snakes. Isn't that silly?
Totally.
I'm sure Indiana Jones has something different to say about that subject.
Tell me anything at all.
Snakes shed their skins from time to time. You have to be especially careful of them when they're shedding.
I'll keep it in mind. Tell me anything at all.
Grimwald is very responsive to vibration. She doesn't recognize her name, but if I stomp 3 times, she looks right at me.
Vibration?
Tell me anything at all.
You have to be careful when handling a snake.
I'll...
Well, I really could use that scale, even if I can't convince her that I'm not going to use it for some sort of magic spell. It curse her clientele or anything. Maybe there's some way I can distract her.
How about showing me how you handled Grimwald?
Really? You would like to see me dance, perhaps?
That would be swell.
I won't make you wait, Monsieur Knight. No matter what you see, do not be frightened.
I'll give it my best shot.
Now, as you noticed, the icon turned back. I actually have control of Gabriel at this point. So while her back is turned, like I did with Mosley, I can commit another felony and steal some evidence.
Gabriel grabs the shed snake skin while Magenta is otherwise occupied.
Isn't that great that she finished just when I sat down?